I'm responding in part to the question that came in over Twitter about how to handle duplication in the sector and encouraging M&A, which is sort of one of these evergreen questions that keeps coming up. And I I used to think M&A was important. I actually don't think it is as important today, and for a couple of reasons. One, I think duplication is going to be minimized with if if we sort of follow Lucy's and Jacob's call to arms about data sharing and fixing feedback loops, that will become apparent. I mean, duplication happens in part because it's not visible. So the data sharing, to a certain extent, will take care of that. Second, and to that point about open data, I think the nonprofit sector actually has lagged grievously, and governments have actually, just listened and by mandate and by fiat just made a whole bunch of data available, which has made for very creative solutions, as teams like Code for America have shown. And there's enormous amounts of things you can do, creative things you can do with open data that's coming from the public sector. And we, as members of the nonprofit community and as part of the philanthropic world, also need to, I think, push as hard as possible on that open data front. Second, on that issue of M&A, why I think it's not as important as I used to think it was, I think that there are new organizational ways of collaborating that have emerged in the last 10 years. Witness the way, the Democratic organizations and the Democratic Party used to be known as the sort of the side of the political spectrum that could not collaborate, coordinate, and get their act together. And in 2011, I think they showed that they in fact can get their act together by providing that scaffolding for people to voluntarily kick in whatever time, whatever resources they had, and get satisfaction out of it. So the political side of the equation, I think, has figured out a new way of organizing. I'm sure there are actually other ways of organizing. When someone asks me, why are there no Googles and no Walmarts in nonprofit world, part of my answer is I don't think there should be Googles and and Walmarts in the nonprofit world. I think the problems that the nonprofit world tries to solve are extremely sort of idiosyncratic. We go into environments that are, by their nature, not comparable to others. What we need to do is keep evolving around different models that allow for scale to emerge out of independent action, such as the way small shareholder farms in Africa come together to purchase fertilizer together or to sell their products to wholesalers together. They get a much better price when they can coordinate, but they remain separate independent farmers. So I think there is a huge amount of creativity that can be expended to figure out new, what I would call business models, just for the lack of an intuitive term that sort of addresses this issue. I think technology will help us figure out how to design some of these new models that allow for independent and autonomous action to sum to a much bigger thing than they do today.